Hello and welcome to the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm your presenter Mervin. Thank you for joining us. Topping the headlines, an amendment to the Immigration and Passport Act to facilitate travel within the OECS. 17 prominent Dominicans to be recognized during the National Day Parade on Sunday, and the National Youth Rally, yet another phenomenal display of national pride. Stay with us for details of these stories and others right after the break.
There is a silent, invisible killer in our midst, a killer which largely goes unnoticed as it plies its deadly trade. Its name is secondhand tobacco smoke, which has a far greater impact on persons inhaling this poison than on smokers themselves. Secondhand tobacco smoke is especially detrimental in public places and negatively impacts our national health as well as public health expenditure. Stop this invisible killer now. Say no to secondhand tobacco smoke in public places. A public health message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. 17 Dominicans will be honored for meritorious service to the Commonwealth of Dominica during the November 3rd Parade of Uniformed Groups. Prominent individuals who will receive Dominica's second highest award, the Cicero Award of Honor, include Mrs. Valina Leta in the area of music and music education, Mrs. Alex Boyd Nice for parliamentary service, Mr. Wadi Asafan in the field of business, and the George Karam family in the area of business and tourism. The third highest honor, the Meritorious Service Award, will be conferred on Mrs. Vina Delia Roye for community service and development, Mrs. Roslyn Canoville in the area of nursing, Mrs. Theodora Joseph for primary and adult education, and Mr. Kelly Williams for music and tourism. Several individuals are also due to receive the Services Medal of Honor. They are Arlington James for environmental education, Jocelyn Jean-Pierre Prince for search and rescue, Mr. Charles Walters for sports, Rosetta Favrier for business, and Mr. Ernest Philip Pascal, Mr. Davidson John, and Mr. Henrik Ronald Aaron for community service. The Long Service Medal of Honor will be conferred on Mr. Bernard Darrow for the field of education. The Parade of Uniformed Groups will take place on November 3rd, 2013 from 4 p.m. at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. In more news, an amendment to the Immigration and Passport Act in Parliament earlier this week will exempt nationals from OECS member states from presenting a passport at the port of entry into Dominica. Similarly, Dominican nationals traveling to other OECS member states will not be required to present a passport at the port of entry once he or she is a holder of a picture identification card which states their nationality. Minister for Employment, Trade, Industry and Diaspora Affairs, Dr. Colin McIntyre, told Parliament this week that this new measure will facilitate travel within the OECS region. The revised Treaty of Bastia provides for the free movement of nationals. As a result, a decision has been made by the OECS authority to allow OECS nationals to travel within the OECS space. Therefore, it is not necessary for OECS nationals to present a passport at the port of entry once an appropriate identification card is produced.
I think we all set for it. We would like to travel without having to move with bulky passports sometimes, your identification card, you hop the plane, you move. And Madam Speaker, we're not talking about criminals here at all. We're talking about real business, friendly, peaceful people. And this is the whole aim of this whole program, to facilitate travel throughout the region, and the region here being the OECS space and the economic space we have here. So
when the results of the annual National Road Audit was conducted in 2008, it was revealed that only 7% of the island's roads were in good condition. In light of that audit, the Labour Party government then embarked on the National Farm Access and Feeder Road project to restore and develop the island's secondary and farm roads. Phase 1 of that project began within the 2012-2013 financial year with the rehabilitation of 16 feeder roads totaling 30 kilometers at the cost of $2.2 million. These roads were selected based on the number of farmers served by these roads, the potential for poverty reduction, the potential for increasing employment, and the dependence on agriculture in those farming communities. The roads were also selected by virtue of the community's level and potential for crop production. At the conclusion of Phase 1, road users' safety and comfort was enhanced, as well as farmers' productivity in those regions. The Public Works Minister, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, in a statement issued on Thursday, reports that only one segment has yet to commence. That is the Salisbury end of the Petit-Macushri feeder road. Honorable Blackmore stated further that this results from the contractor's failure to undertake the job. Phase 2 of the Farm Access and Feeder Road project is scheduled to begin within this financial year 2013-2014. The banana accompanying measures of BAM facility is part of that project, from which almost $15 million will be spent on 74 kilometers of roadway all over the island. The 13 targeted roads represent 22% of the national feeder road network. The Labour Party government is aiming for excellent road conditions all over the island by the year 2020. In more news, 44 LED energy-efficient streetlights are currently being installed under the Kinfield Cliff to enhance security and safety of the newly rehabilitated roadway. This comes ahead of a wider national street lighting project to be executed by the Ministry of Public Works, which will involve the installation of 4,851 solar streetlights across the country. The government of the People's Republic of China has given a commitment to the government of Dominica to provide 2,500 of those lights. Public Works Minister Honorable Rayburn Blackmore says the LED street lights under the Kinfield Cliff is being funded by the government of Dominica.
Driving at nights, especially when it rains, is a very eerie sight in that location. And so we're happy that we're able to fund that by way of national funding, by the public purse, to lead the way in that approach, therefore. And the amount spent so far, you're looking in the region of $740,000 to do the civil works, first of all, and now the actual installation of the fittings to include the lights.
The minister said the National Street Lighting Project is a very costly but important exercise and should commence before year's end.
We're looking at two options. Option one, you're talking about $43 million US. That is significant. And over a period of 43 months. And hopefully we should see the commencement of the program towards the end of this year.
The Windsor Park Sports Stadium was awash with color and displays of national pride on Friday, November 1st, on the joint occasion of the National Youth Rally and Flag Day. The students of the land demonstrated creative salutes to the Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, witnessed by a varied congregation including government officials, members of the diplomatic corps and the public. The event was addressed by the Honorable Peter Seja, the island's Minister for Education and Human Resource Development. He told students and adults alike that their priority should be Dominica at all times, both at school and in other aspects of society.
In all that we do as citizens, we must always remember that the forces which connect us are much more powerful than the differences that attempt to pull us apart. Today, as you showcase your achievements, we need to remember that you have a significant role to play in the advancement of your country as the peaceful nation which it has been for many decades. We firmly believe that you need to take a stand as students, as young people. Indeed, your role as students involves taking a stand for positive things. You need to take a stand for education, take a stand for hard work, for unity, cooperation, and togetherness.
Welcome remarks came from co-host of the event, Josiah Binoa, President of the National Youth Council of Dominica.
It is the day that the Lord has made, and we must rejoice and be glad in it. We must be glad because we have a lot to be thankful for today. For life, for family, for community, and for our blessed country. A nation under God that will celebrate 35 years as a united and independent state on November 3rd, 2013. There is strength in unity, and as we have marched on our path to development, we have relied on each other's strengths to keep us moving forward along the way. Every farmer, doctor, lawyer, teacher, and student can feel proud today, knowing that the efforts of our forefathers, their pain and sacrifice to attain our independence, was not in vain. This year, our independence theme captures the essence of unity. One nation, one Dominica, celebrating 45.
Ms. Dominica Leslassa Shillingford was the event's featured speaker. Her emphasis was on this year's independence theme, One Mission, One Dominica, celebrating 35.
This year's independence theme, One Mission, One Dominica, emphasizes the importance of unity. A very relevant concept when one considers the social structures developing in our highly technological and digital lives that many of us are living today, where we can become very separated. I ask that you consider that being independent requires the maturity to recognize the need to be interdependent as well. The ability to recognize our own shortcomings and lean on the strength of others, and while doing so, be able to celebrate our own capabilities over the negative feelings that may come up with accepting your imperfections.
We now bring you a few clips from the event. A special display was put on by the Casbro Secondary School in honor of the 110th anniversary of the establishment of the Kalinago Territory.
Radiate that vision, and now we need something to radiate us with this rain that is coming down, definitely.
Well, the vision before us is indeed very beautiful, Nali,
yes.
I must say.
Knowledge, values.
And you're now forming a circle at center stage. The Dominican flag is right in the center.
Sure, this is a display of unity, and as you can see, we have the young lady in the national wear, Dominica's national wear, the young lady in the Kalinago outfit, and the students all coming together to present this to us this morning.
There was also a joint march past by primary schools of the Kalinago Territory. This year's National Youth Rally was visited by the United States Army Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps of St. Thomas, USVI, led by Colonel Eddie Charles. GIS will bring you more from that event in a subsequent newscast. Meanwhile, look out for coverage of the entire event in future programming. In more news, Legal Affairs Minister Honorable Ian Douglas has applauded the Dominican populace for the level of support shown thus far towards the implementation of the Caricom Court of Justice. The government, through the Ministry of Legal Affairs, has over the past months been hosting sensitization meetings and other public awareness programs across the country with a view to educate the public on important aspects about the CCJ. Minister Douglas told Parliament this week that he is encouraged by the overwhelming support of nationals towards the appellate court.
I would really like to commend the Dominican populace for the support that they have shown and they have given to the implementation of the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice. I mean, the support has been tremendous around the country. Every single community that we went to, Madam Speaker, of course, people had questions to educate themselves. But generally, the population of Dominica is in agreement that we must move forward and implement the Caribbean Court of Justice in all its forms.
The CCJ was established in 2001 to replace the London-based Privy Council as the region's highest court. The Caribbean Court of Justice has been designed to be more than a court of last resort for member states of the Caribbean community. And Jeffers Joseph, a Dominican originally from Wesley, now resident in New York, has released his first novel entitled Money, Misery, and Murder. The former police officer who migrated to the U.S. said his love for mystery-type television shows such as Law and Order inspired him to write this novel.
Looking at these shows, there was one theme. I tend to see one particular theme, and the theme is most of these cases, the victim almost always is affluent, and he almost always is murdered. So there's always one theme: wealth and death.
The novel is based on a wealthy couple who were engaged in the tangled web of infidelity, which resulted in deception and greed and ultimately ended in murder. Joseph said the popular sentiment that money, education, and affluence are the solution to people's problems is nothing but a myth. He says this point is clearly illustrated in his book.
We have the misconception that money can only do one thing, and that's solve our problems. But that's not true. There's another side to money. It can cause your demise as well. It is for this reason why I developed the story. I wanted to show how affluence can also be your demise.
Joseph has completed his second novel, which is now in publication, and has just started working on his third novel, When Love Betrays. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, le gouvernement dominicain a créé ces Dominicains qui vivent dans notre pays pour faire qu'on nous soit développer le pays là. Selon le Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, la police nationale dominicaine a servi comme guide policier étranger pour mener le développement. Ministère de la Diaspora Honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre a bien supporté le plan gouvernement en effort cela.
Qui est ce monde-là pour venir pour nous développer Dominique? Et bien, il dit, nous là, nous savons ça qui a fait l'autre pays. Mais Dominique, c'est ça, ça nous. Nous, c'est le gouvernement, nous ne pouvons pas faire jouer. Nous pouvons parler de si moi, c'est frère nous, moi, c'est frère nous. Si nous avons acheté l'argent pour aider le monde Dominique, c'est ça nous avons fait. Il parle de policier, votre Dominique. Et bien, il a dit, policier Dominique, c'est ça qui a fait policier foreign couille. Il parle pas de foreign policier qui est en place, et bien, policier Dominique en l'autre place. Non, non, non. Il dit, ça nous a fait Dominique, in terms of national policy, c'est ça qui a directé, ça nous a fait foreign policy. Et bien, c'est comme ça nous a coupé. Il y a l'autre gouvernement, l'autre, qui passe. Il y a l'autre pays, comme si il y a suivre en gouvernement. Et bien, le gouvernement, ça, pour faire papier, pour lire à United Nations. Nous, nous passons ça. Nous sommes une nation qui est bien indépendante. Personne ne passe à dire nous ça souffert. Donc, à respecter tout le gouvernement de l'autre pays. Mais là, il vient pour Dominique tout seul. Nous bien servi Dominique.
En d'autres nouvelles, le gouvernement Dominique a fait parole comment il a bien plaisir, manière rallye national GNS un succès aujourd'hui. Plaisir activité formée par Rallye Salam qui prend place en Stadium Windsor Park, voit autant 1000 étudiants tout un pays là qui ont participé. Si le ministre de l'Éducation, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean, aujourd'hui fait record qu'on ne sait plus mais rallye qui jamais fait en Dominique et puis GNS montre bien clair qui a bien comprendre ça en Dominicain vraiment. Il dit qu'il a complémenté ces GNS là vous a fait pour venir ensemble pays avant n'importe d'autre bagaille. Honorable Saint-Jean dit ça même bien significant parce que y a des monde négatifs qui ont essayé de diviser le pays là pour bagaille négatif politique ailleurs. Honorable Saint-Jean remercie tout le monde qui fait rallye là en succès. En même temps aussi, plusieurs aspects tapent attention en premier match pass où la Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt pour saluer une équipe St. Thomas tenir un spectacle bien unique qui a vraiment tapé attention officier liaison diaspora Lauren Barnes Roberts.
Aujourd'hui, ça c'est spécial pour moi. Moi, je complimenter toutes les affaires Dominique, par moi, et tout le monde Dominique qui vient ici en masse pour supporter Youth Rally. Aujourd'hui, ça nous tenons the Mighty Race Battalion from the Ivana Udoroken High School of St. Thomas. It's the first visit to Dominica. C'est la première fois que vous visité Dominique. Et c'est une grande expérience pour vous. Quand vous fait une performance qui était bien exciting, avec nous comptons nous une opportunité pour venir Dominique. Nous croyons un jour tout de suite. Les enfants ici qui viennent en Saint Thomas, en USBI, Saint Croix, Saint Thomas pour performer avec cadets qui ont été en USBI.
En la nouvelle, on l'a Dominicain qui reçoit l'honneur et puis recognition pour travail et puis contribution à eux pendant Power militaire dimanche. 17 personnes qui tapent Meritorious Award. Valina Letton, Éducation Musique, Alex Boyd Knight, Service Parlement, Famille George Karam, Business et puis Tourist. Deuxième prix pour l'honneur, Cicero Award of Honor. Troisième prix pour l'honneur qui est allé pour Vina Roy. Et puis d'autres monde qui tapent, c'est Rosalind Canoville, Theodore Joseph et puis Kelly Williams. Plaisir d'autres monde qui tapent contre Jocelyn Pierre, Michael Ferrol, Charles Walters, Davidson John et puis Rosalind Février. Bernard Darou qui recevait Long Service Award en éducation. Power là qui prend place en Stadium Windsor Park qui a commencé à 4 ouais. Finalement, State College Dominica a offert éducation et puis haute qualité. Plus étudiants qui tapent opportunité attendez qui temps qui passe. Power Salah sorti du ministère de l'Éducation, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean.
En l'année 2002, nous avons formé State College. Et Premier ministre, là, ministre de l'Éducation, qui nous tenait 7% des enfants qui étaient gradués en grande école, qui attendaient State College. Aujourd'hui, jour en 2013, nous avons 90% des enfants qui ont gradué en grande école qui attendaient State College. Ça veut dire que nous avons fait quelque chose de bien. Et nous avons pour State College chance là pour développer, pour grandir et pour nous savoir que Pep Dominique, jeune Jean Dominique, ça West ouvre quelque chose de State College là qui a marché en n'importe pays où on la terre et qui nie valait. Et c'est pour raison ça la mon qui nous a passé à Chimeke et nous pour garder développement State College.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson et Luce. Une bonne saison. Indépendant. Au revoir.
Before we go to today's tip, here is one announcement. The National Day Parade 2013 is scheduled to take place on Sunday, November 3rd at 4 p.m. at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. The general public is hereby notified of the following guidelines with respect to the Windsor Park Sports Stadium access. The SAT entrance is reserved for dignitaries, Riverside entrance is reserved for awardees and their sponsors, and the Kennedy Avenue or Bath Road entrance is reserved for persons holding white, pink or yellow invitations. All other entrances will be open for use by the general public. Time now for your tip of the day.
Together we build, together we strive. We see it all on your Government Information Service, Channel 7. This is the Government Information Service, bringing you all that you need to know about all that's happening in your country's development. GIS, you and your channel.
In today's tip, we'll tell you how you should drive during rainy conditions. First and foremost, slow down. It takes longer to stop or adjust in wet weather. Maintain proper following distance. Don't follow large trucks or buses too closely. The spray created by the large tires reduces your vision. Take care when you pass them as well. If you must, do so quickly and safely. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Mervin. Thank you for watching and happy Independence, Dominica.